All right, so today we're talking about judgment. Judgment, for those of us out there that are trying to make a positive difference in the world, can come up pretty regularly. It can affect us. It can take us over fairly regularly. And what it does is it affects our ability to really make effective change, to really reach people and influence people and connect and bridge build. Plus, with all the pandemic tensions right now, I think a lot of us probably have our judgment is going into overdrive as you're dealing with sort of extra judgment around what folks should or shouldn't be doing. And so I thought this would be kind of timely around that as well. So today we're gonna talk about why judgment can mess things up so much. We're going to work with some tools for escaping the judgment trap. I'm going to take you through a guided visualization based on a Buddhist practice called Tonglen. That you can use on the spot to dissolve judgment. Like as you know me, I don't like to just talk and give you theory. I love to give you practical tools. And we're also going to explore the ways to ease self-judgment, which of course, if you've been working with me for a while, fuels the judgment of others, really at the core of it. We judge to protect ourselves. We judge to try to get rid of the pain of not being good enough. So we'll get into that more in a second. Like I said, and I just wanted to check and see, I asked how people are feeling. Hi, Christine. 2 or 3 words on where you're at right now. Are you feeling content? Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling bouncing off the wall? Are you kind of curious? Are you in a place of appreciation? Where are you at? 2 or 3 words on where you're at right now. And as I mentioned, if you can help me get this workshop out to more people, you can hit the like button. You can share right now on your own wall. Or if there's somebody that you think would resonate with this, what we're doing today, tag them in the comments, and that'll give them a nice little heads up that this is happening. And just on time, just like clockwork, my Karma's starting to yell at me, wondering where I am, my pretty well blind cat. Karma, come on up. It's the beauty of broadcasting from home, right? Okay, so Wendy said anxious. Yeah, honey, and we had a little discussion on the page just a few minutes ago about one of the factors, but I'm sure there's lots of factors. Come on, everybody would like to say hi. Here we go. Hello, boo. Now, who can be upset though when there's a little girl with a little heart on her belly, a little white heart on her belly, and she's purring so hard right now, just wanting so much love and attention, aren't you? Yes. Okay, you're gonna be just right on my lap here. Maybe we'll pull you out to do like a little adjunct lesson. So sorry, I got sidetracked by cuteness. So as I was saying, tagging, liking, all that sort of thing. For those of you who do not know me, either here or in the replay, I'm Kimberly Carroll, and I help people who are trying to make a difference, whether that is mission-driven entrepreneurs or healers or activists. I help you with the inner work, with the high performance habits and the action plan strategies for really making you unstoppable. Speaking of which, I need to share my video course, my free video course, Power Tools for Changemakers, is now out. It's live and ready for you to get going on it. Let me just give you the link here in the comments. There you go. All you need to do is sign in. Again, new software. Forgive me as I fumble around. All you need to do is sign in, and you'll start this. The course will start right away for you. You'll get a video once every 2 days, and it's really just to, in this time where you might have a little bit more downtime from the work that you're doing on your mission. You might have just a little bit more space to take stuff in. This will really help empower you and fortify you for your good work ahead. So check it out, and let me know how it goes for you. Let me see. What else are people sharing here about how they're feeling? Okay. Oh, Wendy, you miss your cat. Karma, did you hear that? I feel so sorry for you, Wendy. I'm sending you extra love. I'm not a very good ventriloquist, but I can feel her. I'm just translate for her. Una said she's tired, unfocused, but happy. Yeah, it's just like mixed bag time, isn't it? Nethel said, shared, appreciate you in this community service. Oh, love you, Nethel. Appreciate everything you do. All right, so keep on sharing. As I love to say, this is not a listen shop. This is a workshop. So any thoughts, any questions that come up, please just put them into the comments. You know who is missing? You know who is missing from here, folks? Can anybody guess who's missing? It's Judy Carroll. Mama Carol is missing. That is a concerning thing for me. So, Mama Carol, if you're there, you better comment so I know you're here. All right. So let's do a quick little check-in, folks, just to get centered and really be able to take in some of the work we're going to do today. So closing your eyes, just for a couple of minutes, closing your eyes. And let's just start with a nice big centering breath. And you know what? During these strange times, it's so important to always be kind of getting rid of some of that frenetic energy or that distracted energy, that monkey mind. So let's raise the arms above the head, reaching one arm up and then the other. When you start getting trapped in the prison of the mind, the best thing is to start moving the body in a different way, really feeling the body, getting grounded in this moment by getting grounded in the body. So lifting one arm up and then the other, just really feeling your body. You might lean to one side a little bit more. You might lean to the other side. And don't just gloss this over. Do this. You're going to need this. Everybody needs a little bit of body work, a little bit of releasing, a little bit of centering. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to gather up all that frenetic energy, any of that sort of energy in your body that is sort of bouncing all over and isn't feeling good. I want you to gather it up with your next in-breath. And with the exhale, I want you to drop the arms and I want you to shake it out. I want you to shake out the head and the shoulders and the chest and the torso and the hips and the legs and the face, and this is my favorite part, and the lips. Good. And now, just settling for a minute, letting those shoulders just sink down, softening. And allowing yourself to just really feel your body for a second. So let's start with the heart. I want you to just tune into the heart, breathe into the heart for a minute. And we're going to start practicing releasing judgment now and acceptance now. And so breathing into the heart and just noticing what kind of shape your heart is in right now. Just noticing, is it tight? Is it feeling numb? Is it feeling frenetic? Is it feeling really open and generous? Is it feeling healthy and robust? Is it feeling cold and shriveled? Just noticing where the heart is. No judgment. Just really holding that heart. It's doing the best it can in the situation it's in. So just with your attention, just holding this heart, allowing whatever is happening to happen, breathing into it. And let's go up into the head, the mind, the crown, and just bringing your attention and your breath to the crown, almost like you could breathe right into the top of the head. And just noticing what's happening in the top of the head, just noticing. Are there thoughts just whirling around? Are you feeling kind of stopped or blocked, fuzzy? Maybe you're feeling really clear-headed and open, focused. Whatever it is, I don't want you to judge this. I want you to just allow. It's almost like this crown of your head is going, oh, hello, you're paying attention to me. Oh, let me just show myself. So just allowing whatever's happening in the crown of the head, breathing into it, welcoming it, seeing it. And we'll hit one more place in the body. Let's go into the upper stomach, the solar plexus, place where we tend to really bunker down, where we really clench up if there's any sort of sign of danger or threat. So this place in us during these pandemic times is especially on guard. So starting to breathe into the upper stomach and just notice what's happening in there. Is it aching? Is it heavy? Is it powerful and radiating? Is it numb? Is it frenetic? And whatever it is, no judgment, just allowing. Just breathing fully into it, letting it be. Bringing your kindness, your tenderness to this place in your body that's been working so hard. Having a little bit of a sense of humor about how it's maybe been in overdrive a little bit. And with the exhales, just letting go. Just softening around it. And finally, just checking in. Again, with a little bit of humor, but a lot of tenderness. And asking yourself, how are you, sweetheart? How are you, buddy? My love, how are you? And then just seeing what comes up in response to that, what feelings, and just whatever comes up, whether it feels awesome or awful, just let it all be. Just breathe into it, let it come up. Soften around it all, see if you can relax around it all. Breathing right into it. And then if there's just any sort of feeling that you could surround this with, any sort of, maybe there's soothing that's needed, or maybe this is something awesome that came up that you just need to really free up or really need to amplify. But whatever it is that this place could need right now, just breathe into it. Just give it the medicine it's asking for. Whether that feels like it's holding this sort of scared or pained area, whether it feels like it's rolling around and appreciating and really savoring what's coming up. And again, it could be a real mixed bag, so maybe just being with it and breathing into it. All right, let's take in one more big cleansing breath. And letting go with a big audible sigh. And just shaking out the head a little bit. And coming back when you're ready to eyes open. So I would love to have you put in the comments when you checked in and you asked yourself, how are you, buddy? How are you, sweetheart? What came up for you? What came up for you? I asked you at the beginning what was happening, and we'll kind of get a pulse on it, but this is what's really happening, and I'd love to hear. And I'd also love to hear what you gave in response when I said, if there's anything that you need to sort of wrap this part of you in or infuse it with? What would it be? So in the comments, I'd love to see and have you share. Again, the more that you participate, the more it gives permission to others to participate, and the more company I feel like I have on this journey. So yeah, please share as much as you can today. Okay. So yeah, for me, it was a mixed bag for sure. I mean, I always get a little bit nervous doing these workshops because I always want to deliver really good quality and I want to be on it, and all the sort of stuff that's happening in the technology is like, but I just felt a lot of appreciation for being able to be here and to be able to connect with you. Some really special people on this workshop right now. Aw, yeah, I see some really special people watching from all sorts of corners of the earth. So really happy to have y'all here. So I just wanted you to have a little bit of an experience with easing some of that self-judgment, which we're going to talk about a little bit later in. But for now, let's get into just judgment in general. Judgment and its ugly cousin, self-righteousness, which comes up a lot for us change makers. And it's natural it comes up for a lot of us change makers. The name of this workshop is how to not be overtaken by judgment. And as a change maker, the reason we're so prone to being overtaken by judgment is here we're really putting our heart and soul, our energy, our time, sometimes our money into trying to make the world a better place. And then there's all these assholes that are ruining it. That's how it feels sometimes, right? And it can be very frustrating. And so, yeah, you can sort of catch yourself saying things like, if only all these morons would wake up and figure this out, or that person is a monster for what they did. All of those things, natural reactions, but they do not help. They may feel good in the moment, but they are hurting you. And they are probably contributing to the shittiness that you're trying to ultimately work against or work to heal. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. I think I might be able to share that with you. Just one second here. I'm trying all these fancy things. Let's see. Can you see that? There we go. So it's such a good one. And it's one that when I'm in doubt, when I'm like, no, I should be harder and I should be more hateful and everything, I remember that. And I'm like, that Martin Luther King Jr. was a pretty wise dude. I kind of trust his judgment on this. That does not mean that we do not take action. That does not mean that we do not stand up strongly and speak our truth or what we think the truth is, and call people out on bad behavior. But we need to find a way to do it in a way that is not stealing our hearts, is not hardening our hearts. Okay, so that's what we're going to work on today. Is we're going to work on the whole idea of how do we dissolve judgment so that we can be a more powerful, light-filled example in this world. So how judgment hurts you. Let's talk about that a little bit, okay? So before we talk about how it hurts your mission, I just want to talk about how judgment is eroding you, okay? So every time that we judge other people and ourselves, we are really entrenching more intolerance into our character. It's really fortifying a more of a closed-mindedness and more of a close-heartedness. And I know you folks. I know that's not what you want to do in your life. I know that's not who you want to be. I know that's not in your integrity. Okay, I know that. Every person that I see on this workshop is not that person. They're really loving, compassionate, smart, motivated beings. And so, first of all, I just want to acknowledge it's very natural that you're going to move into a place of judgment, but it's not where you want to be. It's not going to grow the person that you want to be, okay? It also poisons relationships. It hardens us. It diminishes our capacity for generosity and understanding. let's talk now about how it hurts your mission. So I've just got some notes here, because I'm always talking about something new every week, and my old brain doesn't hang on to everything. So forgive me when I have to refer to my notes, but sometimes the noggin needs a little reminder. So being in an energy of superiority or othering erodes our ability to truly be able to connect and influence. Okay. I know not judging when people are being apathetic or downright cruel is so hard, so bloody hard. And believe me, I fall into the judgment trap a lot. Luckily, some of these techniques I've learned have helped me to only fall into the judgment trap for a few seconds as opposed to a few days. But the whole idea is that when you are judging people, it creates divisions. It makes your energy one that isn't truly one of problem solving. It's more of trying to indict people. And so it really creates divisions between you and the people that you're trying to influence and inspire. And it also just really it cuts people off. Okay, so again, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't speak often and strongly out against what is wrong in the world. But I'm going to help you find ways so that you don't do it so that you harden your heart so much that you are not effective anymore. Okay, so I've got 3 tools that I'm going to share with you right now to help with dissolving judgment. And I'm also going to take you through an experience of visualization based on the Buddhist practice of Tonglen that's going to really help, and it'll help as an on the spot tool as well. I'm just going to go to the chat and just see if I have missed anything. Beth said she's been feeling lethargic. She needs to stay calm and just listen to me. Okay. Yeah, I love that. Wendy said, I had to bring myself back to your voice as my mind wants to go to things that are not positive. But you felt more relaxed when you were done. Okay, that's great to know. And Carl's on board. Hi, Carl. That's excellent. Yeah. And don't judge yourself for the monkey mind right now. Don't judge yourself for the anxiety. Just really, just every time that you notice that this is happening, just let this be a bit of a celebration that you woke up to go, oh, wow, I'm really not here. I'm really not present. But now I am. I can come home now. This is a good thing. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, self, for having the will to notice that. Okay. So back to the judgment tools. First of all, one of the things that has really helped revolutionize judgment for me is understanding that hurt is mostly caused by those who are hurting. I know you've heard this, hurt people hurt people. But when you really get this, it is very hard to steel your heart, to harden your heart. And again, I don't want to have you avoid hardening your heart because I don't want you to do stuff, because I don't want you to be strong, and I don't want you to, sort of really strongly influence change. I want you to do it because I feel like an open-hearted approach to things, even when you're having to be firm and strong, is still so much more effective. So I tell myself over and over that people are doing the best that they can from where they're at right now. They're doing the best they can from the level of consciousness they're at, from the level of education that they're at, from their capacity for feeling. I really, it's so important that when you're looking at an enemy or an opposition and there's just so much hate coming up for you, to recognize, holy crap, there is so much pain or fear that is fueling this bad behavior. Again, this isn't to let them off the hook. This isn't to back down. This is just so that you're not fortifying a hard heart, okay, which will be taken into all sorts of areas of your life. I really do consider that when people are acting, badly, in whatever we consider badly, that there is something that is driving that was probably implanted in them long before they had any choice. They also perhaps don't have access to the knowledge. They don't have the ability to learn and improve like some people are blessed to have. So, for example, if you're looking and judging at somebody because they're over consuming, consider that they just have this just deep emptiness within them. That is just this consumption is impulsive. If you are finding that there are people that are just not showing compassion in certain areas, consider that was maybe never modeled to them. They maybe have never seen how that looks or seen it from somebody that they can relate to. Or if there's somebody exerting force or being aggressive, perhaps this person grew up in a really powerless environment, okay? Maybe where there was just a lot of violence, or just a lot of unpredictability. Again, that is not to say that we don't create boundaries and we don't say this is not acceptable. But when we make people into monsters, when we say that person is evil, they're a monster, we basically, well, first of all, we take our own power away because all of a sudden there's a monster to hide from. And so I don't think that sort of monstering is really helpful at all. Again, this isn't about if somebody is harming others, we need to absolutely say, this is the line, this is the punishment, whatever it is, this is what happens. But we need to do it with some space and equanimity in our hearts, okay? That will ultimately contribute to the solution rather than the problem. I mean, let's look at COVID right now, the COVID situation, and just sort of seeing, how this is playing out in COVID. You might be of the mind that there are people out there that are being too stringent or too careless. And that might require you to speak up. It might require you to put boundaries up, but you can do that with compassion still. Okay, you can do that recognizing that everybody is really stumbling right now. Okay, everybody is kind of making their way in the dark. And some of them are terrified of getting the virus. Some of them are really scared of losing their freedom. Some are really confused about what's right now. A lot of us are. And fear and uncertainty, they just make us act in shitty ways. It doesn't make us shitty. It makes us act in shitty ways. And again, some people just don't have the information, or they don't have the capacity to really take in the information, really absorb the information. Okay. So again, not helpful. It's just, it's helpful to, again, be able to say, this is the line, this is not acceptable. I'm going to speak out strongly and sometimes very loudly about something, but in my heart, I'm not going to make them into a monster. I'm not going to make them into a moron. I'm just going to understand that for whatever reason, they're not getting it. And I've got to have some compassion for that. Okay, I'm just going to go into the comments and see how we're doing here. Carl says, exercise. Yeah, it's all exercise is so good for the soul. And that's, one of the things with judgment that, that comes up is, one of the things to consider around judgment is when judgment comes up, even just doing some sort of physical thing to break that sort of trance of judgment, even just shaking it out or feeling where in the body it is and tossing it off, something to just sort of break the pattern so that you can get in touch with a little bit more of that tenderheartedness. So I asked you to grab a pen and paper. And I just want you to take a moment to think about somebody that you've judged, or that you regularly judge, or a group that you regularly judge. And I want you to write that down on the top of your paper. And I want you to just humor me here. I want you to just think about what could be motivating that bad behavior or that apathetic behavior, whatever it is that you're deeming is not good, not acceptable. What could be motivating it? Okay, so I just want you to take a minute to write that down. Where might that be coming from? Is there something that they might have learned in their family of origin or their geographical location, the society that they are surrounded in? Is there a particular pain or fear that might be motivating this behavior? So just writing that out. And you know what? If you want to just dump it right into the comments, if you want to share a little bit about what you're discovering as you sort of peek into this person, if you were to take this person back to their little boy or little girl self, little person self, um, what might you discover about what they had to come up against or what they were struggling with or dealt? Maybe you don't have to go that far back. Maybe you can just think about what they're going through this week. The mixed messages or the pressure from certain quadrants of society, or that their livelihood depends on this, or whatever it is, or it's culturally entrenched, and what that would mean to turn against their own culture around this. So as you write, I'm just going to read a couple of things. Wendy said, good points. I'm trying not to take some stuff personally, but it's hard. Yeah, it is. It takes practice. It takes training, just like everything else. Una says, this is very relevant to me. It's the hardest part of being an activist, dealing with actions and attitudes that aren't easy to understand. Getting mad and upset is very disempowering. Yeah, and not everybody's going to become an ally, but I think we need to treat folks like they have the potential to become an ally. It might be 30 years down the road, but every person, we kind of need to get every person on board eventually if we're really wanting to move the needle on things in this world. So we do our best. We do our best to hold them in our hearts, even when they're being cruel, even when they're being completely shitty. Again, that doesn't mean that we entertain their insults. It doesn't mean that we interact with them. But we have to have a little place in our heart that says, wow, how hurt, how afraid are these people? So sad. Okay, so does anybody want to share what came up for them? If there was any sort of aha around, wow, what this person, what this group might be experiencing? Put it in the comments. I'd love to see. Again, if you're on the workshop and you feel like there's somebody that could benefit from this, tag them in the comments, like the workshop, or share it, and let's get some more people joining us and learning some of this. Okay. Next up, our second piece, our second tool for dissolving judgment. Whew, this is a good one. I want you to recall the times in your life when you were this person, okay? Now, I know that you weren't necessarily a Hummer driver. You didn't drive a Hummer at some point, or maybe you didn't spat out racial slurs or things like that. But when judgment starts rising, remember at some point in your life, in some shape or form, you did something that was damaging, that you either tried to deny or rationalize. You have at some point in your life done something damaging that you have tried to deny or rationalize. So folks, the thing that keeps me in check a lot is that for many, many years, you probably, a lot of you know, I'm a vegan, I'm an animal rights activist. It's a huge part of my life. But for many years, I ate animals. I thought I loved animals, and I ate them. And that was just such a disconnect for me. But I was in a culture. I came from, farming community. And every time I would question it, I would be told that's just the way things are. But there was all this cognitive dissonance. But for many years, I didn't take that step. It still breaks my heart a bit, and I feel really shitty about it. And there's but when that judgment comes up, it's the piece that I can connect to and go, oh, right. I know I'm not a horrible person. I didn't do something. It was my behavior wasn't great. Okay. And I know why. I know all of the intricacies of why. Somebody from the outside looking in wouldn't have necessarily been able to see the why. Okay. Also, for many years, I didn't recognize my white privilege. Okay. For many years, I didn't get it. I didn't even spend the energy to figure that out. And so, now I look at people who are struggling with that whole idea and I go, yeah, okay. I'm going to keep on shouting out loud and clear where I want you to be and how we all have to move. But I'm also going to do it with some understanding in my heart for what the limits are, what your limits have been coming into this. Again, not because I'm not going to try to get people to change, not because I think it's imperative for people to change, but because I do not want to add to the hate and hardening of this world. Does that make sense? So I'd like for you right now to write down what have been some of the times when you did something or that you do something now that's damaging and that you try to deny or rationalize. Again, I'm not doing this to make you feel shitty about yourself. I'm just doing this to go, yeah, it's what we all do. Okay, we all have this piece in us. Even Mother Teresa had this piece in her. In fact, she said at one point, the reason that I stepped up to do the work I do is because I knew there was a little Hitler inside of me, and I needed to cultivate what was, full of light in me to be able to make sure that I didn't turn into that. So if you, write down something that you did or do that is damaging, if anybody feels like they want to share that, I know this is kind of personal, but if there's something that you want to share, but in the comments, just tell me, does that make sense to you? Does it make sense to you that by connecting to those times where you did something damaging, and understanding that it was often because of a lack of knowledge, or it was because it felt too overwhelming to make a change, that it was really hard to know how to make a change. You felt that by making a change you might lose something or lose someone, and that felt like too hard for you to contemplate. So Nethel said, I think tools around removing labels are super helpful. As soon as I attach a conditioned or learned label to someone or something, I'm primed to judge. Yeah, it's called othering. It's called othering. And it's what, for those of us in animal activism, it's what we see people do to animals, othering, making them not beings, not sentient persons, so that we can abuse them. We can dismiss them. We can neglect them. And we can do the same thing as humans to other humans when we judge them. They become the other. They don't become their own universe with their own subtleties and their complexities. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm going to just read Christine's comment. I understand what you are saying, and it takes practice. And for me, a lot of practice and mindfulness, because I find myself feeling intolerant, upset, and not wanting to connect. But I am also driven by wanting to help, that if my heart stays hardened, then I will miss seeing those who need help or a kind word, because if I am hardened, I am emotionally blind and will miss it. Yeah, totally. Yeah, you can't just pick and choose when you get hard and shut down. If you're cultivating hardness in you, it will apply to almost everything, okay? It will just create a general hardening, a general division between you and the world, okay? What you focus on expands. There's no sort of stream buttons to put on. Okay, well, I do want to apply this to this part of my body or this part of my life, but not this part. Okay, it's if we cultivate certain emotions, certain energy, it will ripple through everything. And Wendy said, my internal voice can be nasty. Yeah, that's okay. Oh, God, I got nastiness inside of me. Holy cow. I can judge so hard, others and myself, probably myself more, and probably Wendy. That's what you're talking about. We'll get into that in a second. And really, when I catch myself judging, that's not an excuse to be able to a cue to be able to beat yourself up. Okay, that I don't want you to go, oh, I'm judging. I am so crappy and I don't deserve to be here. And what kind of person am I? Then that's just more judgment, right? What you can do is you can just say, oh, wow, I judged. I've been conditioned to judge a lot. That's sad. It's all right. I understand. I understand you're not a terrible person. This is just a bad habit. It's okay. So how can we replace this thought? I, you know, I was raised with a lot of, in my culture and my surroundings, my friend groups and everything early on in life, just a lot of body shaming. And so I am amazed how I will see somebody wearing something not becoming or a little bit, revealing and all that sort of thing, and it doesn't look great or whatever, and just my mind is like, whoa, does she think she is? And I just about I catch myself now. I don't go there very often anymore, but if I do go there, I catch myself and I go, Kimberly, that is not who you are. This person, they're expressing themselves in the way that they want to, and that's a beautiful thing, and I love that, and I will fucking fight for that for somebody. Sorry. F-bomb. And so I just really, I talk to myself and I give myself that sort of, that tough love, but love nonetheless. Okay. So don't let this be about judgment. Don't be about this, Kimberly, you're a terrible person. You don't, no, it's just like, wow, honey, how strong is your conditioning? Oh, it's sad. Sad world when the conditioning is that strong. It's okay. We'll fix this. Let's bring some love to this. Okay. So let me just see here. Una says, I can be very intolerant. Addressing my privilege helps a lot. I've also done some very not nice things. It took me a long time to forgive myself, and the journey of self-forgiveness helps me to forgive others. They go hand in hand. When you are judging, so self-judging, it's going to inevitably spill over to be judging of others. When you're judging of others, you become even more judging of yourself. And Wendy, what did Wendy say? When it comes to veganism, I could go all that type of vegan. I make a point to remind myself of why I became vegan, to be kind to all beings. Judging them is not a good way to change their minds. No. The moment that you start to judge someone is the moment that you lose the ability to influence them. Okay? Let me say that again. The moment you start to judge someone is the moment you lose the ability to influence them. Because the moment any of us feel judged, the wall goes up and it's a steel wall. Okay? Nothing's getting through. Nothing. It's just not effective. If you're trying to help, change someone's mind or reach out to them, trying to show them something, if they get a whiff of judgment, it's game over. They're not taking in anything. Okay. So really good for you to notice, Wendy. All right. So point number 3, tool number 3 for dissolving judgment that I find really helpful. And that is to get truly curious about the person, the individual, or the group. Okay. Often when we have opposition or there's somebody getting in the way of our mission, we can make them into a thing, an obstacle, something that is just getting in the way, not getting it, all that sort of thing. And we lose touch with the fact that this is a living, breathing being, full of complexity, full of pain, full of hopes, that this being has an entire universe inside of them that maybe people will never know. Okay? Nobody may ever know the universe inside of this being. So I think it's really helpful Curiosity is just such a strong energy to break through judgment. When you find yourself, getting judgy about somebody for really bad behavior, to just really get curious and to just go, what's happening? I wonder what's going on with them. I wonder what they're all about. And if you're dealing with these people in real life, finding some common ground, finding some kinship. So that could look like just asking more questions, and that could be in real life or online. Instead of just sort of in an online conversation, instead of just like dropping on them, maybe asking some questions, getting really curious, like what is happening with them? What's going through their mind? And I tell you, this is something I try to practice on social media. It can be so hard. But I have seen it just change things over hundreds of times. And I've seen it change things for a lot of my Changemaker coachees as well. To be able to just really go into each exchange with the idea that I want a bridge built. Okay. And sometimes there's just no getting through to a person, and I get it. And sometimes you have to wave the white flag and you have to walk away, and that's just fine. And you've got to choose your battles, right? Or you've got to choose your sessions of connecting. And but for some people, it's just a matter of them being recognized as a human being, as somebody that has thoughts and feelings, that it opens them up to actually hearing. Okay. And so I ask questions and I validate. Again, if somebody says something outrageous, I don't validate that. I might say, wow, like I'm hearing that there's just, you're really scared of something, or something's really hurting you about this. What's going on here? And again, you may get just a terrible answer back, and that's okay. Not everybody is reachable right now. But there's so many that have, written back to me and said, yeah, I realized that this is happening for me and I don't know why. And then we have a conversation. Okay. When people understand that you see them as a human being, they don't have to fight so hard anymore. They don't have to constantly be defending and fending off, attacks, or feel like they're fending off attacks. They're actually, their heart's open and their mind's open a little bit. So, this is where the magic of change making happens, is when we can create this sort of open heartedness and open mindedness. I love this poem by Edwin Markham. I want you to really listen to this. He drew a circle that shut me out, heretic, rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle and took him in. I'm going to share that with you here in the banner because, oh man, I'm so teary these days. I don't know about you guys, but it's just like any little bit of heart resonance and I get all teary. And that's okay. Here, I'm going to just add that. Does that show? Just 1 second here. Yeah, okay. Just in case you want to check that out. I think it's just a beautiful, beautiful passage. Just going to go to the comments and see whether how's everybody doing? Is this making sense to you? What's resonating with you? What's not resonating with you? Do you have questions about a particular circumstance? Again, the more I get from you, the more that I have to work off of. So please do, share as much as you can. So let's do a little writing around this piece, okay? This piece of getting curious and, really connecting to the individual or the groups. So I want you to think about an action that you could take to get to know somebody that you have been judging. Okay, an action that you could take that would signify you getting more curious about them. Okay, so again, it could just be the next time there's something that comes up on Facebook that you're like ready to go, blah, 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 blah. Just see if there's a way to ask a question, if there's a way to connect to this person, to reach them a little bit more, to make them feel heard or better understood. Okay. Elizabeth, another idea, and I know you can't do this in real life right now, but you could do it online. Elizabeth Lesser does a TED Talk that's called Taking the Other to Lunch. I'm just going to put that one up for you. Taking the Other. There. Oh, I don't even know if you can. You can't click on those links, can you? Okay, I'm going to put that instead in the comments. So, yeah, this TED Talk is about the fact that what she started doing to try to break down her judgment and the division between her and what she considered her opponents is she started inviting representatives of those groups to lunch. So, for example, she's a very progressive person in the States. And so, hardline, Republican senator, I think, was one person she took to lunch, or maybe it wasn't a senator, but some sort of hardline Republican politician. And just to be able to really get to know them as a person. Now, she didn't back down in any of her progressive sort of missions at all, but she was able to do it with a little bit more understanding, a little bit more tenderheartedness. And also from a strategy point of view, it is just really good to know who you're working with and what speaks to them, what influences them, what is important to them. That's really important. Again, not to beat them, but to reach them. Okay, to reach them, to connect, to have them move the needle on where they are with this thing that is so important to you. Irene, hi Irene. You love the poem. She said, I love the poem and what you said about asking questions. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, sorry. I said I was going to add that link to the TED Talk and the comments. So here you go. All right. So if anybody came up with an action, so again, I know you can't take anybody out for lunch right now in this climate, but you maybe could have a little Zoom date with somebody, or you could do an email exchange with somebody. So if you came up with something that's interesting, an action that you're going to take around a judgment that you have around somebody, and again, this judgment can be about somebody who's really close to you. It can be about your partner. It can be about a family member. So same thing. Is there a way that you could get more curious about them and delve in a little bit more and connect a little bit more to their universe? So add to the comments. I'd love to see if there's something you came up with. Okay. Last point, and then I'm going to take you through this meditation, is self-judgment. And we've already touched on it quite a bit, but the more self-judgment you have, the more you're going to judge outward. If not feeling good enough is an awful feeling, okay? And it's one that a lot of us can't handle. And so what do? We sort of try to reflect that off of us by judging others, okay? One of the ways to alleviate our own feeling like shit is to, focus on other people that we think are worse, right? And so, as I mentioned, doing this is training, with being ungenerous in general. Being ungenerous with yourself trains you in being ungenerous with other people. Being ungenerous with other people trains you to be ungenerous with yourself. So, let me see. What else do I want to say about that? So, and I know a lot of us this is a big topic, and we'll probably have to do a whole nother workshop on self-judgment, but being critical and everything. But we already covered this a little earlier. When you catch yourself judging yourself, when you catch yourself beating yourself up, just stop. First of all, stop, okay? Self-condemnation is never the answer. Getting real with yourself, questioning your integrity in a curious way, is absolutely needed, but in a curious, kind, compassionate way. Like, wow, yeah, maybe you're not performing the way that I, would be ideal, but why? You're freaking tired, or you're feeling overwhelmed, or you don't know, you can't do this alone. You feel like you can't do this alone. Okay, I understand now. So now together, let's fix this. Or if you do something really shitty, to be able to say to yourself, okay, honey, that wasn't good. That was really bad. But you're not bad. I love you, and I'm never going to leave you. And we're going to work through this together. Okay? We're going to figure out why this happened. and we're going to try to heal it. I'm here. I'm always here. Okay? Instead, what we do is we go, that was just so shitty. I'm not even going to feel you. I'm not going to connect with you. I hate you. How does that help the world? Okay? How does that make you healthier? How does that make the world healthier? So, if nothing else this week, I want you to just really see if you can catch yourself beating up on yourself and have a little Kimberly in your head that says, no good ever comes of this beating up on yourself. Okay? Being real and really, facing what's happening and how you're steering out of your integrity is important, but it has to be done as if you were speaking to a child who had done something really damaging. Okay? But you don't want to make them feel like they're the worst, thing that ever existed. You want to say, okay, you can never do that again. But what happened? What was going on? What caused you to do that? Okay, and how are we going to fix that next time? How are we going to fix this? Because this is serious. That's the energy. Okay, that's the energy. All right. So I want you to think about, last little piece of writing. I want you to think about something you've been beating yourself up over. I want you to write that down on the page right now. Okay, write it down on the page. And I want you to think about where did that come from? What caused you? What pain or fear caused you to act out, or to act out? This might be an ongoing thing, to act out this way, or to not act when you really feel in your integrity you should. What fear or pain caused you or is causing you this limiting pattern? So just bringing a little degree of understanding to it. Okay, writing that down. I'm just going to give you a second to do that. And while you do, I'm just going to read a couple more comments. Irene hadn't finished what she was trying to say. I know you've mentioned that before about asking questions, but somehow it resonated with me a bit more today. It seemed a bit more doable. This is a really powerful session today. Thank you. Aw, Irene, thank you. Thank you for that. Christine said, the challenge for me, and maybe I'm being narrow-minded, but I don't know how to feel curious about someone who is hurting me. Yeah, that's a great point, Christine. Sometimes we're just like, there's just so much hurt and there's so much threat that our system doesn't let us relax enough to be able to even entertain like delving in a bit more. So try this, Christine. I mentioned this really quickly, but specifically for this piece. When you are with this person that's hurt you, how about just trying to connect with them as a child? Just imagine them at the smallest age that you can imagine them before all these layers of damage started accruing on them. Okay? The little being that was vulnerable and for whatever reason felt like they had to put all of these layers of whatever it is, whether it's righteousness or whether it's control or whether it's bullying. There was once a child who didn't have all those layers. Maybe you could start by connecting to that part of them. It might make it a little easier to get in. Just tell me if that makes some sense for you. Okay. I want to do one last thing, folks, and this is good. So I know I'm going a little over 2 p.m., but this is just a really important piece. How do I kill an hour like that? I don't even know. I didn't think what I had to talk about was going to take an hour. So I'm going to try to tighten these up in the future. But I would really love you to stay around for this because this is a really tangible tool that you can use. Okay. So there's a practice in Tibetan Buddhism called Tonglen, and it has been pivotal for me in being able to dissolve judgment on the spot. I'm going to take you through an experience of it right now, and then I'm going to sort of tell you and share with you how it can be used as an on-the-spot tool. So I want you to get comfortable, and I want you to sit back, and I want you to close your eyes. Okay? Closing your eyes. And this will just be about 5 minutes, 5 more minutes. And let's start with taking in a nice big cleansing breath. And let's once again come into the body. It's so important when we do this work to come into the body. So let's roll the shoulders backwards, really slow, big shoulder rolls, just to really get into the body. Good. Slowing down the breathing. And now letting the shoulders relax back and down. Letting go of the thoughts right now. We've just talked over a lot of stuff, a lot of information. I want you to let go of that right now. And I just want you to breathe. I want you to feel the room around you, the temperature in the room, feeling or listening to the sounds of this room. Taking in the smells of this room. And first of all, locate in your body any pain that you feel in this moment. You don't need to know exactly what that pain is coming from it, but it could be sadness or frustration or fear, loneliness, anger. But just that feeling in your body where you're holding something that hurts. And I want you to start off with you breathing into that sensation. Okay, so that sensation could be a sensation of aching, or it could feel like knives stabbing. It could feel heavy. It could feel tight. It could feel suffocating. First of all, just breathing into that quality. Breathing right into it. And I know it's hard, and for some people it feels like that just they can't even handle it, but you can. You're strong. You can handle this. So breathing into that place, all the stickiness and darkness, and hotness or coldness of it. Maybe it's, again, the achingness. I know it's not easy, but the only way past something is through it. And now, I want you to add something to this. When you exhale, try breathing out the antidote to that particular pain, the relief to that particular pain you're feeling, the medicine. So perhaps you're breathing into sorrow, and the antidote to that is just love. You breathe out warmth. Or perhaps it's just a closed, frenetic energy that you're breathing into. And what I'd like for you to breathe out then is an antidote to that. Maybe that's fresh space. Maybe that's calm. Maybe it's acceptance. Breathing into the pain, breathing out the relief. And I know that feels a little counterintuitive to sometimes how meditation works. We often breathe in good stuff and breathe out bad stuff, but this is a different practice. Just bear with me. Okay, and now what I'd like for you to try is I want you to connect to call up in your mind and your heart a person close to you, a person that you care for, or it doesn't have to be a human person, it can be an animal person, but a being that is struggling in some way. Okay, so just connect to them. And I want you to start breathing in what the pain for them might feel like. This probably won't be so hard because you're feeling it's a being that you want to reach out to and feel empathetic for. So breathe into their pain. Share their pain for a minute. Does it feel heavy? Does it feel dark? Hot? Claustrophobic? And now, exhaling also the antidote to that pain, to their pain, some sort of relief to their pain. Maybe it's a letting go or a cool freshness. Maybe it's comfort. Maybe it's space. Maybe it's such deep love. Breathing into the pain, breathing out the medicine, the relief. And now those two are training for what is sometimes a lot harder, and you might not be able to get this right away. It's just starting to practice. But I want you to call up somebody in your mind who you have judged or judge regularly. Again, it could be somebody close to you or somebody that you've never met before. I want you to call them up. And I want you to see if you can soften your heart a little bit, get a little bit more tender in your heart. And I want you to see if you can breathe in to whatever pain or fear might be motivating their behavior. You'll never know for sure, probably, but you can have a good guess. The pain, the fear, the overwhelm that might be causing them to be aggressive or cold or greedy or apathetic. Breathe into that contracted place that they might be in. Understand it. Roll around in it a bit. And now, breathing out to them the antidote, the relief to that. With your out breath, sending them the antidote, whether that's warmth, whether that's awakeness, whether that's the feeling of being held, whether it's courage. Breathing into the painful place they hold and breathing out to them the relief. All right. Let's take in a nice big cleansing breath. And shaking it out, just shaking it all out. That's a hard exercise, so I just want you to shake out any residual pain out of your body. And then coming back to eyes open. Whew. Again, this is can be a tough advanced exercise, but I wanted to give you a go at it. I wanted to take you through it. This isn't an exercise. It's not that I necessarily believe, and I'm open to the idea of it, that this is going to change the person you're focusing on. No, this is about changing you. This is about developing, even in these tight, hard, places, a way to open your heart, a way to be empowered to share the medicine. Okay? And so I would love to hear in the comments what that was like for you. If there's any interesting pieces that came up for you, I'd love to know. Here's a simple thing. If you don't know what to write in the comments, I'd love everyone to write something. What was the medicine, the energy that you sent out to that last person, or that last being? What was the energy of it? Was it space? Was it soothing? Was it love? Was it bravery? What was it? Put it in the comments. I really would love to hear. Now, as far as using this as an on-the-spot tool, because we did a longer practice for you to kind of get the feeling of it, and you could do this again and again. This replay will be up for a while, and I also post these on YouTube as well, so you can always go back and just do this meditation over and over again. But with Tonglen on the spot, you can. I'll give you an example. So I remember the first time I used it on the spot, I was on a bus, and this man came barreling onto the bus. He was really drunk, disheveled, smelling bad, and hurling obscenities, so angry and just threatening and everything. And my immediate reaction was just like judgment in that wall, like it was a threat. So all of that wall just came up, and the judgment of, oh God, and why, oh, he's so awful, and he's so scary, and what is wrong with him, and everything. And I used Tonglen in the spot. There wasn't a lot I could do for that man at the moment, but I stopped, and I just breathed into what I imagined. And again, we never really know, but what I imagined he might be feeling, just the surge of emotion, and probably the confusion, and probably feeling scared and so frustrated. And I breathed into that, and I breathed into it. And then I breathed out the medicine, that I knew how to send him. And that was, I just tried to surround him with some love. I just tried to soften. I just sent out softening, and again, I didn't approach the man. On other occasions, Tonglen has actually put me in a place where I've been able, and I've felt safe enough to approach a person to be able to bring some of that to them in real life. But in that moment, just what it did is it didn't add to the energy. It didn't add to the bad energy, and it helped me to open up my heart. Okay. So you can do that in the moment when the judgment is coming up, to just breathe in, to like really feel like you're breathing into that person, breathing into their fear and their pain, and then breathing out the antidote. Okay. All right. I'm just going to go one more time into the comments just to see how you're doing. Okay. I love this. So Wendy said the medicine she breathed out was love and patience. Emily said calm. June said compassion and understanding. Beth said strength and insight. Una said sent out love and courage. And Beth, the name of that practice is Tonglen. 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 I just put it in the comments as well. All right. So much juicy stuff. Again, folks, as change makers, we need to stand up on a regular basis for what is important. We need to do it strongly. Sometimes we need to do it loudly and forcefully, but we can do that without hardening our hearts. The world and our missions will be all the better for it. So last little bit, if you enjoyed what we did today, if it was helpful, you really got to sign up for my Power Tools for Changemakers 5-part video course. It's free. It's on my brand new spanking website. I am putting it in the comments right now. Note, that is not it. Just a second. I'm putting the link in the comments right now. All you need to do is throw your email into the form, and you will have lesson number 1, and you can get going. Right now is a great time. I'll just tell you quickly about the Power Tools for Changemakers course. We start off with the first lesson is, I can't even remember what it's called, but it's basically tools for creating space. So creating some healthy boundaries. How do you protect your, have sanctuary in your life so that you can rejuvenate? How do you not be on 24/7 and completely burn out? So the second video is about productivity tools, like some hacks on how to really really take you and your mission to the next level as far as productivity goes and output. The third one is pain processing tools. So so much stuff comes up when you're trying to change the world, when you're trying to make a difference in your little corner of the world. And it's really important to have very tangible tools to be able to process this stuff on a regular basis so you don't get bogged down. Okay. So you're not on the floor so that we can have you keep coming up and being sustainable. And then the fourth one is about bridge building tools. So there's a little bit about what we just did, but there's a lot more tools around how to be more influential, how to connect more, how to really show up for your mission in a way that's going to be effective. And then the fifth is about building a daily routine that's going to really keep you empowered and your good work. So we take you through a step-by-step process to do that. So yeah, each video is about 10 to 15 minutes, and there's action steps, and I dole them out to you over sort of a week and a half period. It's really great. I would love to have you on board for it. So take a look at the comments section. And for you, those of you watching the replay, I'm going to show you the link right there, and I'd love to have you on board. Next week, like I said, I want to talk about ways as change makers that we can pivot in these pandemic times, ways what we can do with this time, because we're being sort of stopped in a lot of our traditional ways of moving our missions forward. So please join me for that. I'm here every Thursday at 1 p.m. on my Facebook page, and I think next week I'm going to start going live to YouTube as well. Woohoo! Every week I'm trying a little bit extra technology. If you want to be notified as to the next live, there should be a small downward facing arrow at the top right-hand corner of the live video post, and you can choose to turn on notifications. Okay, folks, thanks for sticking with me. This was a long one, but I hope you got a lot out of it. Love the work you're doing. Love the people that you are. This is just a little adjustment that's just going to sort of take it to the next level. Sending you just so much love. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you soon.